one-on-one devotion. Groove to a showman who pleases crowds on and off the court. Meet a veteran star who is his country's sole basketball export. Discover how a Euroleague rookie continues his father's legacy. And find out everything that happened in the first week of the playoffs. High-flying Olympiacos Piraeus star Brent Petway is not just one of the most recognisable faces in the Turkish Airlines Euroleague, but also in some of the most fashionable night spots of Greece. And that's because when he finds time to put away his basketball uniform for a few hours, Petway turns to his other passion, mixing music.
When I came over to Greece my second time in Rethino, I was a little bit bored in the room, sometimes didn't have anything to do. And I've always loved music from being very young. Growing up in the church, I played the drums a lot. And I tried rapping in college a little bit, but I wasn't very good at it. And so I decided to try DJing, and I taught myself, how to DJ at home alone, bored, hours and hours on end. And I finally started getting good at it, at least I thought. And so the team in Rethino was nice enough to let me start doing some nights in the clubs, and it worked out really well, and I like it a lot.
Petway takes his music seriously and is always looking for new ways to entertain the crowd. This means he mixes styles of music that most other DJs might shy away from.
My style is like, I try to take a little bit of everything. I usually play hip-hop, R&B, and I mix a little bit of Greek music in there. That's probably the thing that makes me the most different from most American DJs. They probably don't play a lot of Greek music. And I play from all eras hip-hop, from the 80s, 90s until now. I just try to combine the best songs that I've heard growing up or that I think the crowd will like, and it's been working out for me. People tell me I'm good. I don't know if they say that just because they like me as a basketball player or not.
Just like his spectacular brand of all-action basketball, when he's on the decks, Petway loves nothing more than showcasing his ability to thrill the crowd by coming up with the unexpected.
Always improvise. That takes the fun out of it, I think. If you play something that's already prepared, just go down a list, it's boring to me. I want to play something when I see the crowd likes a certain type, then I start finding, music that fits it.
Another common link between Petway's profession and his hobby is that both give him the opportunity to appear in front of people and entertain them. And he admits that he enjoys creating that spark of excitement just as much as the crowd enjoys watching it.
Exactly the same. I get the same rush from playing a song that everybody in the club, jumps up and is like, oh, that's my favorite song, as when I make a block or when I make a dunk and the whole crowd is going crazy. It's like the same for me. And even at home when I'm DJing to myself and I make a mix and it fits real well, I go crazy to my own self. It's like, it gives me a big time rush. In the arena, I love it because, like I said, when you make a big play and you see the joy it gives other people and the energy it gives to your team, it just gives you just another type of rush. And with the music, I just always like to make people move and dance. And so, like I said, when I play that song, and everybody gets up and starts dancing, or everybody's like, oh man, I haven't heard this song in a long time. It's a good play. It's adrenaline rush for me. I love it.
The atmosphere was festive as the playoffs opened on Tuesday and Wednesday, with all four local teams turning their home court advantages into solid Game 1 victories to move a step closer to the Final Four. Real Madrid and Anadolu Efes Istanbul began their best-of-5 series at the venue of this spring's Final Four. Their Game 1 featured first-quarter ties before Thomas Hertel dished 4 assists in a 0-15 second-quarter run that saw Efes storm ahead by 11. The visitors led 35-43 at the break, but Madrid stepped up its defence in the third quarter when Casey Rivers made 3 of his 6 3-pointers. And then Madrid surged behind the inside dominance of Gustavo Ayllón to an ultimately comfortable 80-71 victory. It was a tale of two halves as host Fenerbahce Ülker Istanbul and visiting Maccabi Electra Tel Aviv started their series in an electric atmosphere, with the defending champs using a 0-8 start to control the scoreboard behind an unstoppable Jeremy Pargo. Maccabi led by 11 before Luka Zoric rallied Fenerbahce to take its first lead on the last basket of the third quarter. The hosts kept expanding the difference as Jan Vesely ruled from there until the finish, allowing Fenerbahce to roll up an 80-72 victory, its first ever in the Euroleague playoffs. The playoffs opened in Moscow with CSKA welcoming Panathinaikos Athens in a clash of Euroleague superpowers. Milos Teodosic took charge with 10 first-quarter points, but Nikos Papas managed to keep Panathinaikos in the picture. Soon, all that changed as the hosts limited the Greens to 6 second-quarter points to open a 56-27 halftime lead. When Panathinaikos showed signs of a comeback, Teodosic came off the bench for 8 points in 1 minute to erase any doubts as CSKA cruised to a 93-66 victory. FC Barcelona hosted Olympiacos Piraeus in Game 1 of their series, and with Vasilis Spanoulis back in action, the visitors took a lead in the opening minutes. But that proved to be a mirage, as Barcelona finished the first quarter on a 17-2 tear and never looked back. With Juan Carlos Navarro hitting some of his patented shots, Olympiacos couldn't get closer in the final 3 quarters, as Barcelona led by 12, before back-to-back Bostian Nachbar threes boosted the difference out of reach and sent the hosts to a comfortable 73-57 victory. Gustavo Ayllón played a key role for Real Madrid to claim the advantage over Anadolu Efes Istanbul, and he earned himself the honour as B-Win MVP for Game 1 of the playoffs. Ayllón kept his team competitive, scoring 8 points in the first quarter to prevent Efes from establishing an even bigger lead, and continued to shine in the second half, scoring the basket which gave his team its first lead of the third quarter. Ayllón finished with 14 points and 5 of 7 two-point shooting, also adding 10 rebounds, 4 steals and a blocked shot in a highly influential all-round performance. That added up a personal index rating of 29, and with Ayllón setting EuroLeague career personal highs in 6 different statistical categories, he is the deserved B-Win MVP. Let's check out the top 3 plays of Game 1.
3, Moscow, Russia. The end of the first quarter. Nando De Colo drives to the basket. Seems to be no way through, but he finds one. A spectacular circus shot from Nando De Colo to beat the buzzer in style. Number 2, Istanbul, Turkey. After a slow start, Fenerbahce built momentum through Jan Vesely. Here he is again, bringing the noise by taking another pass from Bogdan Bogdanovic and exploding a brutal alley-oop slam. Jan Vesely. Number 1, Barcelona, Spain. Final seconds of the first quarter. Olympiacos trying to score, but Marcelinho Huertas fast hands to make the steal, and even faster hands to somehow flick up a shot which drops miraculously in. Great play from Marcelinho Huertas with the steal, the instant shot, and it's in for Barcelona.
Each time he steps on the court, one of the EuroLeague's newest young sharp shooters, Edwin Jackson of FC Barcelona, is following in some very special footsteps. His father, Skeeter Jackson, arrived in 1979 from the United States and worked his way up step by step from the French 4th division to play a total of 16 seasons in that country. Ultimately, apart from a long career, Skeeter Jackson found a second home in France.
He had not such a easy life in the US, so moving here, he found everything that he was looking for, you know.
Because he played professionally until age 40, the young Edwin Jackson had the good fortune to observe his father's final seasons close up.
It was me going to the gym, just like I'm doing now, but I was witnessing the practices. I will go with him and shoot a little bit after practice.
What remains with Edwin Jackson now, however, is not his father's game, but rather the respect he earned in French basketball.
The first memories of my father and me of the basketball world was how people always tell me that my father is such a professional, very professional basketball player, that he always prepare his body, prepare for games, and is a very good man off and on the court.
Even though he followed in his father's footsteps, however, Edwin Jackson did not copy Skeeter Jackson's game.
My dad was a big man, so growing up, I didn't want to do exactly like him, but it was a couple of things. You know, I was young still and I wasn't dunking. My dad was still dunking at this age, so definitely I was thinking about my first dunk in the game, you know, exciting things like that.
Now 25 years old, Edwin Jackson displayed his gifted shooting stroke as a teenager with Asvel Lyon-Villeurbanne, and last season was the first native son in 40 years to become the French League's top scorer. Over the summer, things got even better as Jackson won a World Cup bronze medal with France and returned with new motivation for the future.
When you win something, you see how much love that you get, and it's like you feel like you're leaving something behind, you know, a legacy. People will remember you. I think as a professional athlete, you want to give pleasure to the people who are watching you or supporting you, and I think that's what we did with the national team this summer.
Jackson was again leading all French league scorers this season when Barcelona, hit with injuries at the point guard position, pulled him. Jackson knew that his role at Barcelona would be limited, but he also saw the opportunity to keep progressing, just like his father.
Play for a bigger team is almost impossible in Europe, but have a bigger role, you know, in this team. So when the chance came to actually see what I was capable of doing at this level, of course I took it. It was the next challenge. The expectation are different. Of course, Barcelona won the Euroleague twice already. It's a team that's always in the Final Four. So you can't, here it's impossible to lose.
Fortunately, Jackson can fall back on his father's gift of professionalism, but as he faces that challenge at the most elite level of basketball with Barcelona.
Here, there's no such thing as playing 100% and say we got beaten by better. We have to be the best, and it's a situation that I love. You always have to, even when it's great, it's good, it needs to be better, it needs to be perfect. And that's what I love about expectation and discipline, you know. Trying to be perfect, we probably never will be, but that's what we tend to be.
Few basketball stars have come further from more unlikely beginnings than Stefan Lazme of Anadolu Efes Istanbul. The Euroleague's third best shot blocker ever started life on the west coast of Africa, in Port-Gentil, which, despite being Gabon's second largest city, is so remote that it's only accessible by airplane.
I mean, I'll say it's a very laid-back city. Everything is kind of slow.
Basketball was such an afterthought in Port-Gentil that Lasme had to sneak out of his house late at night just to see games on TV. His parents wanted him to get an education, and he found a way to do that through basketball, emigrating to the United States after high school.
All along, I was just trying to use basketball as a way to get a better education. I didn't really think about being a professional until people really started talking about it in my senior year in college. Even in Gabon, I was just thinking that I was going to use basketball to just get a degree somewhere.
The jumping ability that makes him a great shot blocker might be traced to the basket that Lasme built, 10 centimeters higher than normal, when he was a kid in Gabon. But the notion that he might someday be like those players he watched on TV was as far away as Port-Gentil itself.
I couldn't imagine, but I could only dream, you know. I was young and I didn't know where basketball was going to take me, but all I kept doing is dreaming about playing professional somewhere.
Despite being so isolated, Port-Gentil was once considered the world's most expensive city due to the oil industry's large presence there. That's just another part of the special character of Port-Gentil, according to the city's other best-known export.
It's expensive mostly because of the oil companies and stuff. And, I mean, people have to make a living over there. But I say everything is slow. It's the water, but the ocean. A lot of wildlife. I mean, you love it.
In addition to his shot-blocking prowess, which earned him the Best Defender trophy in 2013, Lasme has been known among his 4 Euroleague teams, Partizan Belgrade, Maccabi Electra Tel Aviv, Panathinaikos Athens and now Efes, for his sense of humour, an attribute he credits to his upbringing in Port-Gentil.
When you don't have much, you find ways to entertain yourself, and most people just are jokers over there. You have to be ready to joke about people or to get joked on. So, I mean, it's a good way to pass the time.
Lasme's life is not all fun and games, though. In the off-season, he often returns to Gabon to carry out charity work with local children, an initiative that resulted last summer in an unexpected meeting with the country's president.
I went to Gabon for the summer just to take care of some charity stuff. And through, I guess because it wasn't a little mediatized, I got a phone call from the presidential cabinet, and they said the president wanted me to meet me just to thank me for what I'm doing for the country. The fact that I'm playing basketball in the high level is a good thing for the country, and we just got to talk about sports and the things to do in our country.
This summer, Lasme will again represent Gabon at the African Championships in August, after his national team's qualification for the first time in a decade. As Gabon's only professional basketball export, he is conscious of the elevated status he enjoys in his home country.
It took a while for people to catch on, but media is kind of slow over there, I say. And people don't spend time in looking. They don't have a big culture of sports, I say. So, it took a while, but nowadays, I think there's more and more news about me over there in Gabon, and people realize and to pay attention more to the games.
And with that status comes responsibility, even though Lasme is far away from his faraway hometown for the largest part of every year.
Hearing the kids talking about me, asking me how I did it, tell me that I'm kind of a role model for them. That's when I realized the stuff that I do in basketball is important for them, for the kids, for Gabon.
Game 2 of the playoffs on Thursday featured 2 more surefire home victories, while Friday saw a pair of visiting teams establish big leads, but only one of them could hold on to secure a priceless road victory. Real Madrid took early control of Game 2 before Anadolu Efes soon fought back with Nenad Kirstic, starring in a 0-14 run. the visitors kept rolling to a 17-point lead in the third quarter as Tomás Hertel took an influential role before Madrid awoke and reeled off 12 unanswered points behind JC Carroll and the outstanding Sergio Llull. FS rallied in the final quarter as Hertel set a playoffs record with 15 assists, but the hosts responded once again, and a bunch of late Sergio Rodriguez free throws secured a thrilling 90-85 victory and a 2-0 series lead. After struggling early in their opener, Fenerbahce Ülker Istanbul came out with a vengeance in Game 2 against Maccabi Electra Tel Aviv as Semi Erden dunked with authority, Andrew Garlock made layups look easy, and Nikos Zizis swished three-pointers to establish a big lead that soared past 20 points after half-time. Maccabi tried to close the gap, mainly through Jeremy Pargo, but Nemanja Bjelica, whose 15 rebounds were the second most in the last decade of Euroleague playoff games, helped keep the visitors down for an 82-67 victory and a perfect two-game start for Fenerbahce. CSKA Moscow hosted Panathinaikos Athens again in Game 2. But this time the Greens raced ahead behind teenager Vasilis Haralampopoulos, who went on to lead the visitors with 14 points on perfect shooting. However, Andrei Kirilenko soon buried 3 shots from the arc in a 15-0 turnaround run that put CSKA in front for good. Nando De Colo stretched the lead before half-time, and Sonny Weems took over after the break to total 20 points in a 100-80 win that was the highest scoring performance in a non-overtime Euroleague playoff game since 2005 and kept CSKA unbeaten in the series. After an opening defeat to FC Barcelona, visiting Olympiacos Piraeus looked to its veterans to rebound in Game 2, and George Printezis answered the call early. His near-perfect two-point shooting sounded the charge and put the Reds in front before Juan Carlos Navarro did all he could to get Barcelona to within 10 at the break. But the pride of Game 2 MVP Printezis and his teammates was not to be denied, as fit again Vasilis Panoulis added 2 big three-pointers to cement the Olympiacos advantage on the way to a masterful 63-76 win, and the first by any road team in the playoffs, and a 1-1 tie in the series. To end a week where road teams suffered one tough defeat after another, two-time Euroleague champion George Printezis changed that tune big time for Olympiacos Piraeus on Friday night with a career-best performance that earned him the B-Win MVP honour for Game 2 of the playoffs. Printezis showed his unique shot-making talents early and never let up as he paced Olympiacos to a good-as-gold 63-76 victory over host FC Barcelona. Printezis made his first 8 two-point shots and added 2 three-pointers for a total of 22 points. Crucially, he was also a constant presence on the backboards, finishing with 9 rebounds for a performance index rating of 34, the best of his illustrious career and the best of any player in the first week of the playoffs, making George Printezis the more than deserving B-Win MVP for playoffs Game 2. Now let's enjoy the top 3 from Game 2.
Number 3, Barcelona, Spain. Final seconds of the first quarter, Tibor Pleiss trying to score, but Othello Hunter will not let him. One of the tallest players in the league denied. Number 2, Madrid, Spain. Nenad Krstic tries to score for Efes, but Gustavo Ayón leaps high, and now here's Sergio Llull going coast to coast with a high-flying dunk. All started by a great block from Gustavo Ayón just before the ball hit the glass. And then Sergio Llull doing the rest. Number 1, Madrid, Spain. Real Madrid trailing in a thriller. Andres Nocioni knows how to lift the crowd. This is how you dunk Andres Nocioni. A simply brutal slam. Sensational play for Real Madrid from Andres Nocioni.
With just a couple of days to travel, the playoffs pick up with Game 3 and 4 starting Monday in 4 new cities, as 3 teams look to clinch Final 4 spots with their very next victories. Anadolu Efes, having led big but lost each of the first 2 games, hopes that home cooking will help starting in Game 3 on Tuesday, because if not, Real Madrid stands just 1 win away from reaching the big dance in its own city. The defending champions of Maccabi Electra Tel Aviv can't afford another loss as they return to the friendly confines of Menorah Miftachim Arena on Monday, where Fenerbahce Ulker Istanbul hopes to complete its first ever run to the Final 4. After 2 lopsided losses, Panathinaikos Athens aims to reignite its playoff hopes at home, but will have its hands full Monday just to prolong the series and keep ultra-talented CSKA Moscow from sweeping to yet another Final 4. Having flipped home court advantage to itself with the only road win of the playoffs so far, Olympiacos Piraeus hopes to close out mighty FC Barcelona in Games 3 and 4 next Tuesday and Thursday at sure-to-be jumping Peace and Friendship Stadium. We'll be back next week with more Euroleague action.